Hey everyone, welcome back to Pure Gold. My name is Frank Honus. Really appreciate you joining us on the podcast this week. Back with you guys this week with another topic in recovery. If you're new to Pure Gold, let me just give you a little background. So, Pure Gold is really the best of the best of what I, as a man in recovery, have learned over the last 13 years from a pornography addiction that I struggled with for many, many years. And it really is the most valuable principles, the most valuable things that I have, sort of walked through and learned in my recovery. And so I have been compiling them for the last, probably since 2012, maybe. I've been compiling them into this podcast, and it's kind of changed shapes and forms over the years, but I have always tried to continually, produce this content for you guys and for people out there who are just wanting, more for their recovery and wanting to go to different places in different areas. And, there's times that I share non-recovery related content on here, for your, regarding your relationship with Jesus, you know what I mean? Discipleship based content. But all kinds of stuff. But this is primarily, podcast devoted to those who are in recovery from some kind of addiction, for some kind of, compulsive behavior. And so I encourage you to check out our website to find out more about my story. Would love to, there's a section on there where you can listen to my story and if you go into the About section on pflhome.com. So we'll get more to that later on the website. But this week I wanted to share from an article that I wrote on Small Groups Online, which is an incredible ministry devoted to creating community for your life. If you are looking for a community in your recovery, this is a great ministry to check out. Small Groups Online, which you can find them at smallgroupsonline.com. I recently wrote an article for Small Groups Online called Listening to Your Emotions. Listening to your emotions. So I just want to share that with you this week. I hope it will be a very encouraging article for you. This is a great article for men, for women. You don't have to be a woman to listen to this podcast. If you are a man, this is actually especially for you. So I want to encourage you guys with this. Please, be blessed from this article, Listening to Your Emotions, posted on Small Groups Online, I believe, maybe about a month ago or so. But enjoy this, and we'll come back after the reading for just a couple more comments. Listening to your emotions. Throughout our lives, we are trained to listen to a vast multitude of voices that have a powerful influence upon us. These voices can come from parents, siblings, family members, friends, and coworkers. Depending on the household in which we were raised, those voices determine in many ways the path we find ourselves on in our adolescent years, all the way through becoming an adult. Some are incredibly healthy and life-giving, while others can be destructive. This month, I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about a different voice. One you may not be totally familiar with. The voice of your emotions. Yes, believe it or not, your emotions have a voice, and the real question is this: are you listening? As a young boy, I was loved by two wonderful parents with all the intentions in the world of caring for me the best they could. And they did. Unfortunately, there were things that I lacked as a child, a teenager, and even as a young adult. I don't blame my parents at all for this. They did the best they could with what they knew and who they were at the time. One thing I felt like I lacked is the focus of this article, a fundamental understanding of my emotions and how to process them in a healthy way. You may be asking yourself, how do you really teach someone to understand their emotions? Trust me, I don't have all the answers in this article. As a parent to an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old, I feel like I'm in training every single day. Some days I feel like I've barely scratched the surface in my own life. But for the last 13 years, I've been on a journey to better understand my heart, my desires, my feelings, and yes, my emotions. Emotions are tricky. They are beautiful servants, hardwired into us by our Creator. Conversely, they are horrible masters. For the longest time in my life, I was enslaved to how I felt in the moment, with very little understanding over what I was feeling. This led to a long addiction to pornography, fantasy, masturbation, and acting out in relationships. I was chasing the white rabbit, something to bring relief from loneliness, pain, anxiety, fear, and anger. I didn't understand what my emotions were trying to tell me because I wasn't listening. I didn't know how to listen. Recently, I stumbled across a post from Soul Shepherding. You can find them on Instagram at Soul Shepherding. I just want to read some of that post to you. In this post, the title is Listen to Your Emotions, and it lists several common emotions that we all have and an action that we need to take upon those emotions. Sadness invites you to grieve. Loneliness invites you to seek connection. Anxiety invites you to identify your fear. Shame invites you to seek empathy. Resentment invites you to forgive. Emptiness invites you to seek God in prayer. Stress invites you to slow down. And anger invites you to identify where a boundary was crossed. It would have been a miracle if I had even known how to name the emotions I felt as a young person, and yet I believe that was the problem I faced for so long. Instead of knowing what action to take upon my emotions that have the potential to quickly spiral me into a dark place, I would instead try to numb the emotion, stuff the emotion down using porn or some other kind of fantasy. Obviously, this never worked. Learning to listen to what your emotions are trying to tell you isn't easy. I would even venture to say it's an art. But as we learn what powerful feelings like anxiety, fear, emptiness, and anger are trying to tell us, we will discover what our souls are actually craving. It's been said that for an addict, pornography or alcohol, drugs, isn't the sole problem, but only a symptom of a deeper problem. If that is the case, then running from emotions is also a sign of some kind of fracture in our heart. It's 100% guaranteed we won't get out of this life without experiencing something painful. So what are we responsible for? I'm responsible to both listen to my emotions and be led by the Spirit of God. They must both accompany each other for health and wholeness to take place. The old saying, follow your heart, couldn't be further from the truth. Embrace your emotions. Listen to your feelings, but don't make unhealthy choices based out of emotion. It's a balancing act for sure, and it takes work, but we can become emotionally mature human beings, people who aren't controlled by their emotions and also not detached from them. There needs to be a middle ground where we listen to the voice of our emotions, but also make choices that are healthy and lead to life. You might be asking, where do I begin? Well, here's a few places to start. Number 1, journaling. Writing may not be your favorite thing to do, but keeping a journal isn't about length. Even if you were to write 1 sentence a day detailing how you're feeling and what you're thinking, that's a great place to start. What does the state of your heart look like from day to day? Try it today. Try writing. Here's a prompt to begin. Today, I am feeling ... fill in the blank. Number 2, healthy friendships. Notice I didn't just say friendships. Who are the people in your life who you would consider healthy and in turn care about your heart? Don't mistake health for perfection. One is possible in life and the other isn't. We're all in process, but perhaps there are some individuals at church or your small group who you should make contact with and arrange coffee or lunch together. Finding a place you can thrive in community with others is one of the greatest things you can do for your heart. Number 3, counseling. It's become a very normal practice for people to spend time with a counselor solely for maintenance. Spending a season with a therapist doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. There's no shame in giving your heart to the attention it deserves. A person who is specialized in working with people can help you forget or help you target areas in your heart that need work and attention. Finally, there may be a step today that you need to take that's not on this list. The point is this: don't ignore your emotions and what they are trying to tell you. Just like the lights in our car's dashboard that tell us what's going on underneath the hood, so do our feelings often point to something happening in our heart. People work so hard on their physical bodies and yet ignore what's going on the inside. Become a student of your own emotional health. Years down the road, you'll look back and thank yourself that you did so. All right, and that was from an article I wrote for small groups online called Listening to Your Emotions. I just pray that those words bless you and that you will become, as I said, a student of your heart, a student of, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, the condition of your heart. Again, this is not about perfection. This is about this is about emotional maturity, right? And understanding who you are on the inside and not just on the outside. So super, super important that we really do listen to the voice of our emotions, but that we're not led by them, right? We're not controlled by our anger. We're not controlled by our loneliness. We don't allow those things to consume us. It's okay to feel those things, right? We've been created with raw, with passionate emotions, but if we're not careful, they can lead to some really bad stuff in life. It can lead to really unhealthy things, as I shared in my addiction. And so just again, pray that was a blessing to you. You can find this podcast and so many more on our website, which is Purity for Life. That is our ministry that my wife and I sort of lead out of our home, and Pure Gold is the podcast that goes along with that. You can find all that and more at our website, which is pflhome.com. That's Purity for Life is what the PFL stands for, pflhome.com. Lots of great resources, links, articles, podcasts. You can discover all the podcasts back from the very beginning are on there. Links where you can contact my wife and I if you need some further support or coaching. We would love to help you in any way we can. And of course, all of our social media links are on there as well. But tons of stuff to check out at Purity for Life, pflhome.com. We just pray that that's a resource for you and a blessing for you as well. So thank you guys so much for listening to Pure Gold this week. Going to be continuing probably about twice a month, putting out content for you guys. Some of the greatest, principles and lessons that I've learned in my recovery journey, continue to learn in my recovery journey as I walk and, becoming the man that God has called me to be. So want to thank you guys again so much for listening. Please check out the website, again, Purity for Life at pflhome.com. We would love to be just an encouragement to you, a blessing to you in any way we can. Stay focused, keep leaning in to your recovery, to the journey that you're on. It is so, so worth it to become the man, the woman that God has called you to be. Pray that you guys have an awesome week, and we'll see you again soon on Pure Gold. Thanks so much. God bless.